Hi, this is Terry Filbert, President and CEO of Gold Corporation of Vancouver, British Columbia, public company on TSX-V under Baru, B-A-R-U. We actually have two mining properties for gold, both in Indonesia. One which basically Sangihe, which will be into production, it's now started construction as of just a few weeks ago, and will go into production early in 2022. Also, we are the proprietor of Miwah, which basically is another project up in Aceh province, which basically we are working on to bring back to into a stage where we can start drilling it again.
Terry, I'm sorry to interrupt that. We haven't seen you since I think May-ish of 2020, long time ago, just at the start of COVID. Obviously, your project probably has been affected by COVID since I last saw you, but I thought it was worth catching up to see how you're getting on. It seems to a lot has happened, a lot of water under the bridge.
Yeah, no, it's been long. I think both of us thought COVID was going to be over fairly soon at that time. I think everybody at the beginning. We basically did finish our AMDAL, which is our environmental report with the government, and then also our feasibility study. The AMDAL actually was done on Zoom. So basically we had all the final meeting was actually done on Zoom with the government and with the different stakeholders. And so that was the final. Luckily, we did the community meetings in 2018 because community meetings would have been harder on Zoom since internet on Sangihe Island is not very good. But we did finish this, the AMDAL. We did, but unfortunately, we would hope to be in production 6 months earlier, but we lost 6 months on COVID. Mainly because they shut down the mining department several times. We've had transportation shut. We've had a number of shutdowns in the government and all the transportation and sometimes communication. So it's been a bit rough, but things are getting back to normal now.
Okay, well, I want to go through the projects. I don't want to go over old ground in terms of business plan, strategies, history, and all of that sort of thing. I'd rather kind of focus on what you've done since we spoke. So can we look at the two projects separately? So let's start with well, which one do you want to start with?
Oh, Sangihe, of course.
Okay, Sangihe. Okay, so since we last spoke, what's been happening?
Well, since we last spoke, basically we have received the license. At that time, we had to finish the environmental report, which was accepted by the government, called the AMDAL, and then the feasibility study was also accepted by the government. We were supposed to be issued the license in November 2020. Unfortunately, they got hit by COVID at that time heavily, so everything shut down until February. And when they finally issued the license, so we lost several months there. And then after that, we started land acquisition. We put our people on the island, and they're starting to basically do the pre-mining and pre-construction work, and started land acquisition. And so that's been going on until today, because we'll keep on acquiring land, but we now have enough land to basically start construction and get the project, put together and launched this year.
Right. Okay. So, okay. Needs to be said, these are small projects as they stand, so the capex isn't particularly huge. But talk to me about your money situation first, because there's a few questions I need to ask.
At the moment, we have enough money in the bank to go into production. We had a buffer, which we've kind of gone through a buffer because of how long it's basically taken. But without the buffer, we can still go into production without a problem. We are doing a financing as of today. I understand. Our marketing people just launched it. The financing is for 1.6 million, but that's basically to build up the buffer, but also primarily is to allow me to start exploration earlier. We have an area of about 1.2 kilometers, which has a 43-101 on it for 835,000 inferred ounces. We want to bring that into measured and indicated. And then beyond that, this anomaly goes for another 1.7 kilometers. And that line has actually better numbers on it from the rock samples we've taken. So that'll be drilled out. So we'll drill out this entire area over the year. We're hoping to bring 1 million ounces onto the bottom line by the end of the year. Within 12 months.
Okay, so the question was, how much money do you have? So you're going to raise 1.6. What's that going to give you?
Oh, we have 2 million in the bank.
You have, or you will have?
Yeah, we have.
You have.
Yeah, we
Okay.
have money in the bank right now. Yeah. So.
Right. Okay. And I guess things are really cheap over there. I mean, crikey.
Oh yeah, I do this. No, you're not building a processing plant right now. This is all being done as a pilot mining project. So we're using Artisanal for the first year, and so this allows us to basically de-risk the project. We also have some other funding lined up in a gold loan, which basically will basically, once we pour in gold, this will allow us to draw down that gold loan. And then basically and we actually have a couple different options on that, but we have one that we like the most. And then basically we're ordering a Merrill-Crowe plant at the same time. Once that Merrill-Crowe plant is put in, we then can scale the project. The Merrill-Crowe plant take about a year to put in, but we can still process gold till the Merrill-Crowe plant comes. We just can't do much more than 1,000 ounces a month is a problem.
Right. So when with the headline which says gold mine, Barry Gold commences Sangihe gold mine construction, you then refer to artisanal mining. So what do you mean?
You still build the heap leach. We have 2 heap leach pads.
Right.
We have to build the gold room. We have to build the ponds. We have to build. You have to dig out the pit. There's just everything else except for the processing plant to be in there.
Okay,
the processing plant will be in 1 year later. There's a processing area, but it's not. It's basically manual, not mechanized.
Right, and so you talked about how much per month?
We can get up 1,000 ounces a month with the artisanal system.
Right, and you had talked previously about 2,000 a month. So you kind of stripping it back.
That was still, that time was after we got the Merrill-Crowe plant. That wasn't based on the artisanal system.
Right.
But now and that was just a target. Now our target is 4,000 a month because with the drilling we have, we'll have a lot of extra product to put onto the pad. So basically, we're actually, and it's just a target. We can go higher than that. The plan will get us up to 10,000 ounces a month for the Merrill-Crowe plant.
Right. Okay. So I'm just trying to understand it because I don't normally, hear numbers like you're giving me in terms of getting into production, because you're doing things at a small scale, pilot scale. Fine. It's fine.
Well, I did this before in North Sulawesi. Actually, my entire system was basically based on artisanal. We didn't have a processing plant. This is basically how the artisanals do it, the locals. And there's basically 100,000 artisanals in Indonesia mining around 12 tons of gold a year, at least. And so, that basically is all being used. Unfortunately, a lot of them are using mercury and trommels, and that's, much worse and dirtier. We have a problem with, some mercury we're finding in our areas in the rivers. And we've actually been, trying to find a way to get rid of that. And stop the locals from using that. But unfortunately, that is a big problem in Indonesia is mercury being used for processing gold.
Right. So that's them, not you. No. Again, so whatever we are, 16, 17 million market cap today. Do you think, which is double share price that when we last spoke, so, that's good. Do you think that there should have been a private enterprise at these sorts of levels? 12,000 ounces, maybe 24,000 ounces a year is for a public company. Are you going to get much attention for that?
Well, I was trying to make this a private enterprise when I was trying to buy this for myself. I was trying to add this on to my own. To me, and there's billions of dollars of the gold in the ground, basically. And I wasn't even caring about that. There's a 60,000 ounce at surface pit oxides, which is shown in the 4101 in 2017. And that to me was, for a small operator like me was that was an ATM. But when I came in, there was an issue with the CEO. And then I went and talked to the main shareholder, which is Tocqueville. John Hathaway suggested I take over the whole company, which, and it was sold by the bankers to be a good idea. But, basically I've learned all about public companies and I'm not really, I don't think I'd do it a second time. But this is where I'm at, and this is where I've done. So, no, I think right now we're super undervalued. Basically, I'm looking at other guys doing less than we are with less, and they're getting much higher valuations. I think people somehow think Indonesia is a problem. I find Indonesia much easier to work than I would find in North America. I went and looked at a mine in Nevada. It's going to take me 5 years to get the license, get worked through. We're here. I could do it fairly quickly. So, yes, there's issues in Indonesia. You have lots of illegals. All third world is that way. But you can't find good ground like this in North America or Australia. It's been picked through. You have to go to South America, you have to go to Africa or Southeast Asia. So that and any of those are have illegals. That's just part of the illegals haven't surprised me, and we're kind of ready for that. It's just something you have to give through, and all the mines here deal with them.
So by illegals, do you mean what other people might call them artisanal?
Yeah, artisanals. Yeah, the artisanals is the PC for illegals.
Okay.
But there are people that they come in, they basically start mining your area. And actually, there's not the artisanals. If they're working in government land, they're artisanals. It's only when they work on projects which are already basically licensed are the illegals.
Got it.
So basically, yeah, understand. So there are legal artisanals that and they pan government land. They sluice government land, and all the luck to them. They're good.
Okay.
We hire a bunch of them actually.
Okay.
They're good miners.
So let me say, I really need to understand how you're doing this, because it's slightly unconventional, right? And again, I'm not saying anything wrong with that. I'm just trying to understand it, right? So 1,000 ounces a month is the plan to do this artisanal process that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Then you also said we could go. It could be 4,000 a month, right? So, but that's a big leap. So, do you need to run at 1,000?
You have to have the Merrill-Crowe plan in. Okay, so basically,
right. So tell me about how you pay for that.
Okay, this is basically what's called bootstrapping. I mean, I've always bootstrapped because it's always my money. So since I'm now in the public markets, not my money as much anymore as it was before. But basically, I did support this company for 2 years out of my money when we couldn't raise cash. So it's ended up kind of being my company that way, at least psychologically. So basically, how we're doing this is the idea is you prove you can get gold at as cheapest amount of money as possible, which is what we're doing. And then once you proved it, you have another company, which is we have a Swiss office, which we're basically talking to, and they're quite interested in funding. I mean, there's actually a couple other offices where funds we talk to, the same thing, but we like these guys the best, and they are looking at funding us enough money to buy the Merrill-Crowe plant. Okay,
which is how much? Which is how much that cost?
Merrill-Crowe plant. Well, it's gone up. I'm trying to find how much it's gone up by.
What was it?
Shipping.
What was it?
It was $8 million before. The whole project was $8 million before.
Right.
So it might be 10 million now. We don't know yet. So basically, it's in that range. And so basically, they're going to fund that. Then we pay out of the gold, that the gold we make, we would pay back that loan at a very fair interest rate, actually, or a discount. So basically so during that time, we might as well just keep on taking gold artisanally, because during that time we can still make. I make probably we're looking at about $800 at today's price, about $800 free cash flow per ounce. We're doing 1,000 ounces, that's $800,000 a month. Okay, that money I put into the drilling program, that money to expand the current mine, basically until the Merrill-Crowe plant comes in. And so when the Merrill-Crowe plant comes in, then we go to town. So 12 months after the Merrill-Crowe plant comes in, we could probably be up to 4,000 or higher. 4,000 is just a target. I mean, basically, there's no reason it can't go to 10,000. But again, it depends. We have to have the drilling program also earlier, because they need to have more targets. Because I have identified 60,000 ounces, as surface oxides are easy to get to, but they'll be gone pretty quickly at 4,000 a month. So that's why we're trying to basically bring on more measured and indicated, so we have more targets.
Got it. Okay, so just again, sequence of order. So you run at 1,000 ounces with the artisanal process, build up some sort of cash flow process. Will you be making a net cash flow contribution at 1,000 ounces before the Merrill-Crowe plant needs to be paid for?
Oh God, yes, yeah. I mean,
right.
Like I said, $800,000 a month basically is free cash flow.
Okay, so that's good. The G&A is not so heavy. Whatever the Merrill-Crowe plant comes at $8 to $10 million or so. Can we just talk about? You're speaking to a Swiss group about what? Some sort of streaming, some sort of debt,
it's a forward gold loan.
Right. Okay. So they're traders.
Yeah.
Are they? Okay.
So forward gold, they're traders, correct.
Okay. So you'll pay for that through some sort of discount to them.
Discount on the gold that we deliver to them.
Understood. Okay.
And we deliver the gold to them in Indonesia.
Right. So what do they need to see from you before they'll sign something like that? You'll need to be producing for a period of time, right?
They were willing to sign last year, but I didn't want to basically take on a gold loan or any type of loan until actually I was delivering, because I wanted to de-risk it. The problem is we've had delays, which I kind of knew we would, but I didn't know how badly because of COVID. So I'm trying to be as conservative as possible. And so that's why I wanted to get it into a production by equity. Then basically the gold loan, I know we can pay back the gold because we have the gold. And also de-risk it for this office, because then they basically will give you better terms too. So I get a lot better terms by waiting till we go.
Exactly, right. So you want, they would have given you something last year before you were in production. You're saying, no, I want to be in production for a period of time, make sure that this works, and I know I can pay them back, right? Yeah. And it'll make it cheaper because I can negotiate better terms as a result. So do you know how long that period is? Because you've then got 12 months to get the plant in, put it up, get it up and running efficiently, and then you'll be able to get sort of head towards that 4,000.
Usually you'll get a half-year grace period, and then we'll be, whatever, we'll have a percentage amount of whatever we bring in, we deliver. So basically they may be taking some of our artisanal at the beginning, but again, it won't be enough to basically cause any problems.
So when does the Miwah Pro plant start to contribute cash?
But after, we'll have to say now that with the world being as upside down as before, I'll talk about before because I don't know now, it would take after I ordered it 1 year for it to be operational. Because when I order it, they build it, they ship it. We have to basically then install it, build it there, and then, do the startup. And that takes about 12 months.
Right. But the bit before that is also got to factor that in. So we're 18 to 24 months before it starts contributing?
Well, no. Basically, when I start pouring gold, I ordered the Miwah Pro plant. So when I pour gold, I get the loan, I order the Miwah Pro plant. And I don't have to pay all up front. We pay it over, at different, so we pay a little bit up front, and then we pay more in, a few months. And so, as soon as we pour gold and everyone, as long as, the loan is still, is done, basically we believe that, we're going to probably get that signed soon anyway.
So what do you know about the metallurgy or recovery rates now that will give you some sense of what it would be like with the Miwah Pro plant installed? Will it improve? Will your margins improve?
Well, the margins improve a little bit because we'll do a better job on recovery of the silver. We don't recover the silver as well under artisanal. So and Miwah Pro is great for silver. So basically, so that's going to basically improve. But again, silver right now, when we send this, because this will be refined in Antam in Jakarta, which is LBMA refiner, and they basically will give us a silver credit, which basically pays for the processing of the gold mostly. So we don't make a huge amount of money in the silver anyway.
Okay. So that'll be interesting. Have you got any sort of idea in terms of, have you given any indication or guidance with regards to cash flow for the next 12, 24 months as a result of these conversations?
Yeah, basically over the next 12, we're looking to be pouring in January, February, which basically probably the first few months, because we're just getting started, will be about 600 a month. And that, you never start 100% up front. So it'll probably take about 6 months to get to 1,000. But at that time we're in cash flow. And so, we have a very low GA. I don't have a lot of GA. I got like 5 people in Canada. Most everybody's in Indonesia, and they don't cost that much. So, basically, we have, I think we have up to 60 people. We'll be up to 200 people here by next month or so when we're doing the construction, in heavy construction, and then basically it'll drop to 160 once we are just doing processing.
Okay, so we can work some numbers out from that. Okay, interesting. Once you are producing cash flow, or indeed from any of the 1.6 that you're raising and the 2 million that you've got now, how much of that is going over to Miwah?
Miwah basically is not as important for cash as basically just me being there. I was there basically back 2019 December, and I worked out with the stakeholders how to move it forward based on a couple of times it had been fixed before, and then of course I can't get back. And so the plan actually might change a little bit because the government has announced that they will allow you to take a provincial license to a federal license. So we're talking about that. Anyway, we'll see when we get there. So we may still stay for a provincial license. It depends on, kind of what needs to be, done to make it a federal license. So, that's just sitting down with people and getting all the details worked out again. Remember, we have all the drilling information. We spent $20 million in drilling. We're the one with all that drilling information. And so, they're really kind of keen to get, so we can get into production license fairly quickly with that drilling information. But at the same time, you're talking probably a year to work this stuff out. It's not going to be really fast. You're probably talking a few $1 million to basically get it where it needs to be to move forward and get on drilling.
Okay, so a bit of money being spent on it, a lot of admin, and a lot of love.
Mostly time. It's mostly time. Money won't be spent till towards the end. It's mostly beginning is time. It's just basically got to be there. I'm leaving in a couple of days. I'm leaving on Wednesday to Indonesia for the first time in 2 years. So that's one of the things I'm working on. I'm only going to be in Indonesia for a month this time. But I'm trying to get things set up. I got to be back for some surgery in December, and then basically in middle of January, then I go back for probably 5 or 6 months. I'm usually there 8 months out of the year. So I have this house here in Seattle, which I've had for 10 years, but this is the first time I've seen all 4 seasons. So which is nice, but I'm kind of missing Indonesia too.
Okay,
it's warmer.
So what do the 5 people in Canada do? So I get the people on the ground doing stuff. What's the Canadian team doing?
This is my marketing team, my finance team, and my accounting team.
And they're full time. So that's what we do.
Oh yeah, full time. Yeah. So basically we have in Canada we have mainly the people that keep the public company current. and basically keep us set with IRWOC and the TSX. Also, our attorneys are up there. At least our attorneys we have attorneys also in Indonesia too. Who deal with the mining side. So basically, that's we have that team's been pretty much full time this last year or so.
They've been what? Sorry.
They've been pretty on full time for about 2 years now.
What do they do all day?
I don't need more than that to basically run the company. We keep our GA really tight.
Okay. It's just kind of like I always wonder, how do you as a CEO manage your budgets and stuff? What people do you need to buy in? What people do you need, full time, and who's doing
we have like
busy
3
all day?
sign-offs to spend any money in this company, including me. So basically, we don't spend money. I'm a real tight ass in cash. So basically, we don't spend money easily here. So the locals will then I say local. The finance people in Indonesia will basically get a budget from the managers there. That'll be pre-approved, and then but even after it's pre-approved, it has to basically be money's released by the local manager, that's the finance manager, and then our CFO. And sometimes if it's a high enough money, it's by me also. It can be as many as 4 sign-offs depending on how much is being released.
Right. Okay. So I guess
we're very tight on controls.
Well, you're very tight on controls. It was also interesting down at this level about how many salaries and how much cost and what your G&A is actually spent on. Different companies choose different.
Expensive people I keep minimum, and I get more out of them. So but basically Indonesia, the people there are not nearly as costly as in Canada. But again, I just need people in Canada to make sure that we're running properly for TSX so that they're happy. And that we do what we're supposed to do here. Also, when we raise money through Canada. So I have to have a team that understands how to do that and understands basically how to communicate with our community. So we do have one of those marketing people is actually a communications person. So we want to make sure our community knows what's going on. If they have questions, we want to be able to answer them.
Well, I guess you needed them earlier in the year. You were accused your company was accused of a bunch of stuff. We saw you on various news outlets. Giving a description. Some big time. So tell the audience what you were being accused of, and then maybe help us understand how you responded.
There was a gentleman. It started out with a gentleman who was the vice bupati, who passed away on a plane from Bali to, I think, Masaka, basically, and then we were accused of his death. The reason we're accused of his death is basically he'd written a letter critical of the company. But he was the vice bupati. Vice bupati has no real, no one really pays attention to them. But because we had the illegal miners who've been there working on our land and made really good money last year, decided that they were starting an NGO, and so basically and accused us of what they did, which was destroying the environment. And then they used this death of this official as a way to attack the company. So that was one. Then they accused us of doing all the environmental damage they've done. Actually, BBC took a picture of flying over our area, and we've not put a shovel in the ground yet, but they showed all of what the illegals working the land there, also pouring tailings onto the reefs. We've also been doing a lot of testing on the area. They have lots of mercury they've been dumping out of trommels. And actually there was a protest by the villagers just last month against the illegals and person buying the gold from them about the pollution they've been causing in their village, Benibas village. That mercury is getting into their drinking water and it's affecting them. But again, I was accused of. Also, we were accused basically. One of the things they said is there was these rare birds, which basically no one's seen in 20 years. That we might affect, which these birds, and they did exist, if they still do exist, existed on a volcano, which is on an extinct volcano, which is on our area of works, contract of works. But it is you can't, the birds didn't exist below 750 meters. Okay, so it's very high. On this volcano, this is a volcano that has no gold on as far as we know. So it's not a target anyway. Also, it's protected forest, which we're not allowed to work in. Also, is a national park, which we're not allowed to work in. So it was never a target of ours. It never would have been a target regardless. They were accusing that we might affect these birds and such like that. And even though no one's seen them in 20 years and they were thought to be extinct. But there was still, that was BBC ran with that. And so, they ran with both the official dying and us being accused of it. And then the birds basically being, in some critical danger because of our operation that hadn't even started yet. So we're being accused of something that we haven't even started putting a shovel on the ground yet. We've actually done is we actually started growing plants and trees for our reclamation. So right after we finish an area, we'll reclaim it immediately. But also this allows us on our CSR program to get a number of farmers working with us. They're growing the seedlings for us. They're growing the trees for us. And we pay them to do this. This puts money in their pockets. We pay money to people for making bags for our drilling program because we need sample bags. And we could go buy them on the internet, for about quarter the price. But this gets more people that we can affect positively in the villages. We're trying to basically, if we need something, if we get it there on the island from somebody rather than bring it from off island. We're going to hire 70% of our people on the island. Many of them, number of them were basically artisanals. We're going to bring them on. They're good miners. A lot of these also miners, a lot of the people on the island go off to North Sulawesi to work on the gold mines there, which are legitimate gold mines. And they have really good skill sets. So the thing is, we can hire 70% or more. I mean, 70% is the target. We might be able to do more. But the idea is that money stays on the island. It stays in the community. It stays, basically in the economy there. It doesn't get sent off to another island. Basically, usually a lot of these guys will work, they'll go off like from Sangihe to work in North Sulawesi, but they send the money back to Sangihe, to their family. Here they get to go home every night. Here they basically, they stay in the economy. So the merchants, the fish, the fishermen, all of them will basically profit because there's more money in the economy. And so it's important for us to basically affect the economy and the people positively, including, we will be very environmentally, in the very beginning, we did a very extensive environmental report, and that was 1,000 pages. I mean, and they made us do it 3 times.
So you got NGOs and a bunch of accusations made against you, and that was fairly high profile. You've gone back and responded as best you can to that. But I'm more interested in what the local government is doing for you. Obviously, you talk about getting into a mine construction. We get that as a pilot component. So you're getting the permits and licenses that you need to move this project forward. I mean, and maybe you've been slowed down by COVID here, but are you getting the sense that you are getting the support that you need from the local government? Or
the government's been fabulous.
Right.
No, the local government's been super. I mean, local, provincial, and federal. All of them have been amazing. I think I said when people say, Indonesia, I'm finding Indonesia a great place to work. Okay, you have, artisanal legal problems. Like I said, you always have that. Okay. And if you're not expecting that, you shouldn't have been there. You shouldn't, you don't know what you're doing. So this is not actually a surprise. It's annoying. And they found a very unique way of doing it. I must admit, I didn't hear anyone, accusing any other people of killing a bird that didn't exist. So basically, but it's part of any place you go to Africa, Ghana, you're gonna run the same problem. Like I said, Keith Barron, I talked to him. He had thousands of illegals on his mind down there in Ecuador, and he had to deal with it, also, but taking apart their operations. So basically, this is just part. And he actually tried working in Indonesia one time. He didn't like the illegals there either. So basically, again, it's just part of life, in the third world. And you've got to just basically, you got to work with them the best you can. You don't want to hurt anybody. You want to basically move them off. And again, the police take care of the police, move them off. They come back, the police move them off again. So and once we are in that area, they can't come on so easily. So they're having a harder time with us there. They're still there, and we're not basically trying to have any direct conflicts with them at all. We steer clear of them. And they're not in our way right now. They're not on the area we're working either. So basically, we're going to live with them as long as we need to. At the same time, but they're feeling the pressure from the government trying to get them off because we're there now.
Okay, so you talked about February, March, Q1. You're going to be producing gold.
Correct.
And you're going to be you'll be ramping it up to 1,000 or dorate, right? But you'll be ramping it up from whatever 500-600 up to 1,000 in no short order. That's the idea, right?
That's correct.
Okay, fantastic. Well, look, I think we're getting a little bit of interaction, a bit of a bad line here. So look, I'm going to say thank you very much. That's fantastic of you to come back and tell us about this, Terry. Thank you for having me back. It's been fantastic. Always fun. When you start pouring, come back on. I want to hear it and I want to see it.
I'll be holding basically. well, a kilo plus. Yeah, hopefully one of those. Yeah.
Fantastic, Terry. I appreciate your time today. Thanks very much for coming on. We'll see you soon. Okay.
Take care. Thank you again for having us.
Cheers, buddy. Bye. See you. Bye.